Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll talk about our COVID-19 forecasting application. This application was implemented back in April, and the main idea was not to track precisely the forecast for COVID-19 because it's not possible to forecast exact numbers, since it a lot depends on social behavior and so on and so on. But our goal was to provide a tool which you could use to track COVID-19 cases happening in the past, and based on these cases to produce some sort of generation of what could come next. And with this tool you could track if stabilization happens, or on opposite, if there's a steep growth in numbers. And you can spot a point when transition happens, for example, from steep growth to stabilization or otherwise around. And yeah, the main point to say that you should not think that this application is delivering exact forecast. It is rather a tool which helps you to track COVID cases in any country in the world based on open data. And the main point of this application is to give you some sort of confidence and some sort of feeling that would help you to understand what happens and how the numbers are growing, or if they're not growing, they're stabilizing. So let me switch to the desktop. And I should say first that back in May, we were participating in European Commission Hackathon, and with this application we got to the winning place. We were among the winners, and specifically we were challenge winners for this EUvsVirus Hackathon with this application. You can find more about it in through this URL. Another important point is that the application is open source. So if you want to take the source code and implement in addition something by yourself, deploy it somewhere, you are free to do. It's all open source, and I'll post the link below the video as well. Okay, and here's the application. It's hosted on our cloud server and is accessible to everyone. It's fairly basic application, just one page UI. But the whole logic happens behind the scenes in the backend, all the calculations. Right, and the structure of this UI is split in two different sections. So first you have a main statistical chart where you see cases distribution per countries. So there are total, for example, 271 countries. And then it calculates, algorithm calculates countries where growth seems to be stabilized, and then second group where growth is increasing. And then we see the big picture here. Overall, since this application runs from spring, I can see that during summer months, when cases were down, so the number of countries with increasing cases was way smaller. But now when many countries get into the second wave, then this number of countries with increasing growth is actually increasing day by day. And the main chart, the forecast chart, it shows you forecast data and past historical data for active cases, active infections, and active patients. And you can select country where you would like to, for which you would like to see the data, and there's another option to select from date. So, for example, if you want to filter out data and you don't want to see months like March, April, May, and you want to see data from June, then you can select here June, and data will be filtered. Also, for every country that you select, you get indicator which shows if country status is in red or in yellow. In red it means cases are increasing rapidly. Yellow means it looks like there is stabilization path. So let's see one example, like Germany. And we see There are two methods of being calculated. The way how forecast is calculated using forecast logistic formula and forecast hill formula. So those formulas are slightly different, and hill is usually more flexible and is able to capture rapid increase in cases in more accurate way. But logistic function also works in some cases, so it's good to track and use both functions actually. Now, in this specific case of Germany, logistic formula was not able to do proper calculation, so I could just hide it. Okay, and leave it only hill equation. So we see here that clearly now it's a very strong second wave is coming up in Germany, and there is no sign of stabilization yet. There is an increase in active patients, and what we see from the forecast that was able to capture second wave, and this is the solid line is forecast based from current day onwards, and this another line with breaks is backtesting. It means it is being this forecast is calculated using 5 days in the past, and based on the situation which was 5 days in the past, then forecast is generated. And basically the golden rule here is if backtesting forecast is below solid line forecast, it means situation is getting worse, because if every day there are more cases coming, and previous forecast was too optimistic. Other way around, if solid line is below the line with breaks, this means current situation is better than it was before, and previous forecast was too pessimistic. So this is how we can see if there is improvement of COVID situation in the country, or on opposite things are going worse. And for example, if I would like to filter out the data and maybe start from October, then I could just select here October 1st, and data will be filtered, and in this way the chart is updated, and we can see more space. There is more space for the forecast part, and we see for the next days. This is the forecast is being calculated, which shows clearly there will be increase, obviously. Okay, and now if I would switch back to Lithuania, for example, to the country where I live, and see the data, what data we have over here. We actually see that if I enable logistic forecast, and if I filter out to maybe November 1st, we can see that in Lithuania also solid line is above line with breaks. It means situation is getting worse with every day. Now let's see something else, like Israel. Here is a different pattern. Solid line is below. This means in Israel situation is getting stabilized, and probably strict restrictions that were applied in Israel, they bring the results. So this is what we get. And if I would go to June 1st, we can see there was increase, there was stabilization around August, September, and then from September onwards there was a strong increase, and from end of October, early November, stabilization happened, and this is why the forecast is being calculated as optimistic. Okay, and now let's see one more place, like Hong Kong. So here we can see that backtesting and current forecast lines almost matching. This means that there are new cases that are happening, they're kind of predictable, and forecast 5 days ago and current forecast, they kind of match. This means in Hong Kong they can manage new cases quite well, and there are no unpredicted increase in Hong Kong happening. And another thing, here we can see there's a stabilization line, and it means that probably around this date it happened when cases started to decrease. So the critical point was passed by around late July in Hong Kong. And if we see all the dates from the first, so this is how it looks like in Hong Kong. It was until April there were very few cases, then from April started the first wave, and then in August there was a second wave. And if I switch back to Israel, we see there was a turning point around early October. And for the countries like, for the most of the European countries, there is no turning point yet. It was during first wave, but since most of the countries are in the second wave, then this turning point is not yet met. It's somewhere in the future. So for example, if I check our neighbor country Latvia, you see there is no red line yet, so there is no the point when infections are starting to go down is not there yet, so we are on a steep increase at the moment. Okay, and that's all probably. So this is how it works, and it takes data from the novel COVID API, and data is updated daily. So recalculation is also happening in automated way daily, and the latest statistics are being returned on daily basis. So every time when you access the application, you can check current situation. This is the date, the last date for which data is available, and for this date calculations are being made. And hopefully you could find this application useful for yourself. And yeah, we did it because we thought it's important to share something with the community and be able to take your part. And the main point of this application is to give some confidence feeling so that you could understand how's your country doing, if its cases are increasing now or it's in stabilization phase, and what potentially could be in the future based on the current situation. So thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.